WWE's new era is upon us. It feels as if everything has changed and that whatever the company did in the previous couple of years, we're going to be moved on from here, and it's something that's very different these days. WrestleMania in itself felt like both the start of a new era and the end of a previous one. I can't put this time period with the last 2 years because a lot of it is incomparable. Triple H taking over was a slow process, and to be honest, I personally think a lot of people give him far too much credit at times. I'm personally being honest, like 100%, but there was some basic storytelling the fans were accustomed to since Vince was around previously. At times, I do think the product was too serious. I didn't like that. I did think there was a lot with him that was better, but he had the benefit of the doubt because there was a lot of good as well. I just didn't think he was a 99 overall booker because I go on Twitter all the time, oh, Triple H did this, it's just small things, bro. That said, I do think he's done a decent job. WWE since July 2022 has undergone tremendous change inside and outside the ring. Vince is officially gone now. The camera production is very, very different, and the game's philosophy is slowly showing itself. 2024 with the road to WrestleMania really showed where a lot of WWE's future is heading. It wasn't the best build, but on paper you'd be convinced that it was one of the very best, and the show itself generated a lot of excitement and hype, the likes we haven't seen in years. It's no over-exaggeration to say that WrestleMania 40 was one of the biggest. It just was. The numbers prove it, the constant talk about it from social media. It's been a while since we've seen wrestling feel this popular. I've seen it all over the place, but now that WrestleMania is over with, it's time to focus forward, and while there was some tough hurdles such as Rhea Ripley's injury and her relinquishing the Women's World Championship, there's a lot of fresh scenarios and talent around that make this a much more exciting time period than last year. So the point of this video is just me talking about the current goings and how WWE is going through a new era. Stuff's fresh, stuff's different. Let's talk about it. As always, new talent emerges, and post-WrestleMania is basically the new season for WWE. Talent such as Tama Tonga, Braun Breaker came around, and in Breaker's case, he's finally left NXT, but he already had a match on SmackDown about 2 months ago. That said, he officially debuted about a week ago. Tiffany Stratton seems set for a big push. She's already starting a feud with the women's champion Bayley, and there's a couple of talent that seem bound for main roster, such as Carmelo Hayes. He's coming up soon, and this batch of talent is among the best we've seen from NXT in a while. There's of course some others down there that will make an impact when they come up, but many have been interested in seeing Carmelo, Tiffany, and Breaker come up. The presentation itself is slightly different. Kevin Dunn has been gone for a couple of months, which allows for more refined camera angles and style. There's a lot of camera cuts back then with the constant zoom-in thing that was goofy, dumb, and it was done to hide some stuff, but it was never good. There's more variety and creativity with camera angles now that you question how they did things in the past. It's like, why? It goes deeper than just Kevin Dunn, obviously, but one thing they never got was that simpler is better. Why the constant zoom-ins and camera changes? WWE's presentation changes are always amazing though. By the looks of it, they're changing the stage to the more simpler look. It takes away character and identity from the shows. I know WWE is under TKO, which means they bring in stuff from UFC, but this change in particular is one I don't like. Apparently they're doing it to sell tickets, which is kind of crazy. It shows how much the company has grown, and the numbers don't lie. There's a fresh and optimistic energy about the show that needs to be mentioned. This is a huge effect as to why everyone thinks it's a new era. There's of course some stuff that some might not like with the presentation. There's probably going to be more sponsors in the ring if it's like UFC. That expect some of the same sponsors. I don't know WWE's stance on sponsors, but if things are like UFC, then expect the likes of Modelo Steak to be on the map by the end of the year. I know it sounds funny, but that's one thing that's changing, you know, it's actually a new era. Everything's different for good and for bad. That said, Drew McIntyre's undergone the saying of what goes around comes around. His story involves him being lost in his own ego and in turn doing the same thing he complained about others doing. It makes for a great story because of how slowly Drew managed to turn himself into the very thing he hated, full of jealousy and envy. CM Punk is the perfect opponent in this regard. He doesn't need to be a classic good guy and can be all petty and low-key a bad guy himself. Punk is mostly valid in his problems with Drew, but he also played a part in Damian Priest cashing in. This provides a more interesting route for Drew McIntyre, who had his moment taken away instantly and had to work from the ground up to get a title shot, which CM Punk cost him once again. That's how it goes, and if Drew did win that title, I'm sure they would have worked hard to have a good story for him and all that. But this makes the most sense. He has more to offer chasing the title he held for a few minutes than being the arrogant champion. If there's an option to do it, you do it because it only makes it more interesting having to go through hurdles, but this time they were hurdles he put in front of himself. In other places, new talent has emerged. Jade Cargill has debuted and already made a name for herself. Cargill's star power comes from her confidence and charisma. She has that look about her that screams superstar. It's not hard to understand why she's in the position she's in, even though her wrestling skills aren't all that. Wrestling can be tall, but charisma is a different story. Jade Cargill has a very huge upside in WWE that most definitely will be capitalized on to the maximum. It won't be long you'll see her in commercials and being a strong representative of the company. Damian Priest's cash-in was somewhat surprising. He's not been the most likely candidate throughout his run. I was more optimistic initially, but as time went on, I felt like he just wasn't that guy to become the next World Heavyweight Champion. You know why? He wasn't advancing beyond the tag team division and had this stigma about him. It's not like I didn't want him to cash in, but I was worried he'd be one of those cash-in guys that have a terrible title reign. The moment itself was amazing and tied into the Drew McIntyre story. It's only been 1 week, so I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Plus, they're building Priest to potentially turn face amidst Rhea's injury. He just might rise to the occasion. We don't need to see him smile too much though, and it all comes down to how they book him. I obviously think he's keeping the title warm for Drew McIntyre, but it doesn't mean he has to have a bad title reign. I know some are thinking it's funny how he went from Seth and Drew to Jay and Priest, but I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't know if it'll be a good title reign, you know, because it's a Money in the Bank title reign. Those aren't usually the best, but we'll see. It's just, it's not going to reach the level of Seth Rollins for sure. Other than that, Chad Gable's story interests me. He's supposed to be the guy that won the Intercontinental Championship, but they changed plans by the looks of it. It does seem a bit unfortunate because it's his story, but Sami Zayn put on a great match with Gunther at WrestleMania. The heel turn wasn't necessary, but it was so well done on Raw. This was a man who lost his mind, and similar to Drew McIntyre, is going to find a way to place the blame on everyone but himself. And the way he turned heel, hitting a German suplex and pulling Sami Zayn off his wife, it made him seem like he was insane to do this after losing a match. But Chad Gable does deserve the Intercontinental Championship. I'm very interested in seeing this heel turn. As I said, it didn't need to happen, but they did a masterful heel turn. Like, I kind of expected them to turn heel, but the way they did it was great. And Sami Zayn's hometown of Montreal going crazy. Hey, I don't care if they take the freaking 2007 Kurt Angle book. Just book him like that. I don't give a damn. If they book him to be this insane wrestler who just goes all out like Kurt Angle, I'm all for it. They could have him be more arrogant, more insane, more determined to win the Intercontinental Championship. I'm interested in that story. Of course, there's Cody Rhodes winning the WWE Championship. Cody finishing the story was a very, very masterful story. One of the most memorable in recent years. Probably the most memorable. Cody has managed to turn into the next face of the company at the age of 38, which is kind of crazy to me. And by the looks of it, managed to even get himself potentially a match with The Rock later this year, or even at WrestleMania next year. This is a rumor, obviously. But once we see their interaction on TV and whatnot, it kind of shows just how highly they think of him. Hell, it shows just how highly The Rock thinks of him himself. I've been seeing people complaining a bit how Cody Rhodes' title reign isn't all that. This is a guy who hasn't even had his first title defense, hasn't even cut a promo about his opponent. Yet we have people complaining about the title reign. Listen, I'm going to say it right now. Are people going to turn on Cody in the future? Maybe. Who knows? By SummerSlam, yeah, you could have your opinions on the title reign and whatnot. But this man hasn't even defended his title once, let alone have a promo about his opponent for the next pay-per-view for you to be complaining about some freaking title reign. I think it's funny how people are complaining about a title reign that's just happened. Yeah, he cut the same 3 promos because he doesn't have an opponent. He's obviously going to have an opponent later this week on SmackDown. Then we'll see what goes on. We haven't even seen him wrestle yet people are complaining about his title reign. It's crazy. Cody's title reign is, I'm very optimistic about it. It feels very fresh, very new to see him as the champion. We're going to see a monthly champion around, which is something we haven't seen in a while. For the main title, of course. I'm not talking about the World Heavyweight Championship. I'm interested in that. I also like the fact that we got this, main character that's a babyface once more. I'm sure Cody is going to have some great matches as the champion. Lastly, though, this new era is shaping up to be a very interesting one for Roman Reigns. The Tribal Chief has undergone a significant change in his career. He's lost the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at the Undisputed title. I don't even know what the hell it's called. They change the name every week. That's not what matters. What matters is that he lost the title. This is very interesting to me. Now, Roman Reigns has shown what he's capable of during this title reign. He's got the fans behind him. Fans are interested in the story. And even though a lot of us did get bored of the same stuff going on, he still was a ratings draw. He was still the biggest draw WWE had, right? What makes this interesting to me is that Roman losing the title opens way for a lot of things. What does it open way to? Well, it opens way to the fact that maybe he'll turn face. Recently, Solo Sikoa's been leading things. Jumped Jimmy Uso, Tama Tonga debuted, all that. It seems like they're showing that Solo feels like he's beyond the bloodline. That's something that interests me a lot. Not because of Solo himself, it's because of Roman Reigns. He's going to see this change, if that's the story they're telling, you know. He's going to see this change, ego from Solo, Tama Tonga, all that. He's going to turn face, and it's going to be very interesting. That's what's most interesting about this new era to me. It's how will Roman Reigns respond? How will Roman Reigns go forward in the future? By the looks of how SmackDown went, there's one way he's going to go. He's going to turn face. I'm very interested in that. He's going to get the face run that he never really had. All they need to do is have him be the Tribal Chief. Casual, cool, calm. You know, Roman Reigns is a very charismatic guy. Outside of the ring, he's more charismatic than he is inside, which is funny to me. If he shows that during his promos as a babyface and whatnot, yeah, there's no reason to think he won't succeed in that role. So WWE's new era interests me a lot. There's a lot of openings. There's a lot of stuff that's been going on recently. There's a lot of stuff that interests me. So yeah. Alright, what do you guys think of WWE's new era? Please comment down below. And that's for this video. Make sure you hit the Superman punch on the like button and perhaps the crossroads on the subscribe button. Peace. I'm out.